Hello, my name is Lillian Hayden, and today I'm going to be talking about Stephen Covey's Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw. So, this habit talks about the continuous self-renewal process and the four key dimensions of that, which are physical, mental, social slash emotional, and spiritual, and how these things maintain and improve yourself. So self-renewal is important because helping professionals are often working with people who are experiencing significant life changes such as trauma, addiction, depression, mental illness, disabilities, family challenges, and helping people that are experiencing these things so often can create high levels of stress. Um, and that can have various negative effects on a helping professional, such as burnout, compassion fatigue, things of that nature. Um, so, like I said, burnout affects the helping professional in those areas, but that it can also burnout can also affect the client because when a helping professional is experiencing all of these things, it is affecting the client because they are getting a lower quality, they're receiving lower quality care because the helping professional isn't as effective at the moment. Um, Developing self-renewal practices helps professionals maintain their well-being, which also will help them effectively support others to make sure that clients are getting the proper care that they deserve and that they need to get better for themselves as well. So the four dimensions of self-renewal are physical, mental, social slash emotional, and spiritual. And we are going to talk about each of those a little more in detail. So the first one is physical renewal. This emphasizes the importance of taking care of your body through things such as exercise, proper nutrients, getting the proper amount of sleep, drinking the right amount of water, staying hydrated. Anything that will benefit your body physically, is part of the physical dimension of things. Moving on to mental renewal, this involves keeping your mind active through things such as reading, involving yourself in activities that um, maintain lifelong learning, whether this is continuing school to get your master's or picking up new hobbies. You can also go to develop professional development. So this could also be getting your master's, going to any kind of professional workshop, assessment training, anything like that. Problem solving is another good way to keep your mind active, to make sure you're continuously engaging your critical thinking skills. Those are all good ways to focus on your mental well-being. Whoops. Social and emotional renewal. So this emphasizes building healthy relationships, um, surrounding yourself with people that are supportive, building a strong support system, establishing healthy boundaries with other people, practicing empathy with other people and with yourself. These are all great ways to um, practice social and emotional renewal with yourself and that aspect of your well-being. And then finally, we have this spiritual renewal, which is about finding purpose in your life. This looks different for people. If you're religious, you may pray daily. Um, you may have time set aside for prayer. You may be more of a meditation person, breathing exercises, things of that nature. You can also volunteer, whether that's within your community. or at some sort of facility. Some people like to connect with nature, going on hikes, long walks, things like that are all great ways to fulfill your spiritual renewal within yourself and find meaning. So now we're going to talk about burnout, stress, and compassion fatigue, which are all things that can happen if you do not take care of those four dimensions that we just previously discussed. First, we're going to discuss the symptoms of burnout and stress and compassion fatigue. Um, One of the symptoms is emotional exhaustion, feeling emotionally drained, physically exhausted, mentally exhausted from the amount of times that a helping professional is surrounding themselves with somebody who is struggling in their trauma. There's also a lack of motivation. Your job starts to feel like more of a chore and less of something that you enjoy and love. There's an increase in irritability and frustration, whether that be with yourself or with the client. There's also an increase in difficulty concentrating, again, whether that be when the client is talking or when you're trying to articulate thoughts that you want to put into words to communicate with the client. Compassion fatigue is specifically it's a profound mental, physical, emotional exhaustion resulting from a long period of exposure to the suffering and trauma of others. So it's something that can happen when you are exposed to trauma and struggles that others are experiencing for too long. All of these things can have effects on professionals. It can reduce job satisfaction. It can make them enjoy their job less, which can also make their mistakes increase more because they're less focused, which will also lower their effectiveness with the client and as a helping professional. The effects on the client, all of these things will reduce the quality care that the client is receiving. There's less empathy because the helping professional is not emotionally capable of practicing empathy towards that client. There's a weaker relationship between the client and the helping professional. There's a lack of trust established there, so the relationship between the two is a lot weaker. And all of these things result in poor outcomes for the client, whether that be a lack of improvement, or no improvement at all. There are specific strategies you can do for each of these four dimensions of renewal, practical wellness strategies that you can implement into your daily life to make sure that you're consistently uh, maintaining your well-being. For physical, exercising can include 30-minute daily walks. I believe it's recommended to walk or get your body moving for 30 minutes every day. Additionally, getting enough rest, 7 to 9 hours of sleep, making sure you're well rested. And meal prepping is a great way to stay consistent with your eating habits. For the mental dimension, like I said, reading books, whether this is literature, any kind of just reading any kind of books, attending workshops, and implementing new counseling techniques that you learn are great ways to keep your brain active. Um, for the social and emotional aspect, like I said, building a support system, surrounding yourself with supportive people, and setting healthy boundaries with them. Uh, that way, you're able to maintain those relationships. Boundaries are a great way to help maintain relationships. For the spiritual aspect of things, journaling is a great way that you can do this. You can journal your thoughts and your feelings. If you're religious, you can set aside time every day to pray. Allow yourself to spend time in prayer. Practicing gratitude is a great way to fulfill yourself spiritually. So is reflecting on your personal goals. That's also a great way to fulfill yourself spiritually in your spiritual well-being. So diversity, there's a lot of diversity within Habit 7, Covey's Habit 7, because people practice self-care, self-renewal in various ways. There are lots of aspects in which diversity is shown. The first is religion. Um, some individuals are who are more religious, they may attend religious services, um, church on Sundays, on Wednesdays, on Sunday nights. While those that are less religious may prefer meditation, yoga, breathing techniques, things along those lines. Um, Culture. Some individuals prioritize family support and community. Some cultures, family and community are a significant aspect of their culture. So, depending on the culture that somebody grows up in, may depend on how they practice self-care. Socioeconomic status is another way in which diversity is shown. Some people, they can't afford gym memberships. Therapy sessions, wellness retreats. They don't have insurance to cover those things. They don't have enough left in their monthly income to afford a membership. So they don't have accessibility to those things. Age, self-care, it can vary across age groups, lifespans, depending on what age somebody is. A college student self-care is going to look different than somebody who is in their is in their 70s, somebody in their elderly age. It just depends on what stage of life that person is in. Disability is another one. You have to accommodate self-care practice for individual abilities, disabilities, and accessibility needs. Those things play a big factor in self-care as well, and what is able to be given to somebody, what they're able to do. So all in all, the Habit 7 is a great framework for how to maintain your well-being, and how to improve your well-being by focusing on four dimensions of the renewal: physical aspect, mental, social, and emotional, and the spiritual. If you don't invest, excuse me, if you don't invest in these things, you are more likely to find yourself in experiencing chronic stress, which is why it's important to be able to recognize stress, burnout, compassion, fatigue, because then helping professionals are able to find ways to prevent that from happening, which will have better effects on them as well as the clients. And it will also increase their career longevity, and they will want to be in the helping profession longer. So it's important to invest in ourselves so that we're able to strengthen our ability to effectively serve and support others as well. That's all I have for today. These are the resources I used for this presentation. The first one is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is Stephen Covey's article. I pulled information from there, as well as this online article that I found on a website from the internet. Pulled some additional information, some thoughts, examples from there as well. So there's that. And that is all I have for today. Thank you. I appreciate it.